Hello, friends. You know who it is. It's your girl, Empress Daniel. We're back with another episode of The Daily Grind. I'm going to pour you up a hot cup of joe and get your day out to a bright and beautiful start. What is this? Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for giving the channel a follow. There's a subscriber platform for those of you who are interested where you can find additional content, readings, messages. There's a lot more content on Patreon though. And so I would hope that you guys will consider joining us on Patreon. We are going to check in for today's messages. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate the love. You just coming right in the door and showing me means a lot. So getting into channel messages for today. Okay. Today has something to do with growth. Okay. Some of you are going to find that you are learning to transmute and growing through some of the things that have caused you pain. So towers in your life are not towers. You're finding that you realize they're actually a benefit, that you've actually picked up some things or learned some things along your journey, along the way. And it's kind of like what could be keeping you afloat to some degree. So some of you are realizing not having a breakdown, having a breakthrough. Wow, that was what I needed to do. Wow, I'm so glad I learned or studied that. Wow, I'm glad that, I took whatever that step or act is of faith. Because something about today has to do with everybody being in a position where everyone has to grow. Okay. And some of you, you're like, no brainer, but other people find it difficult to grow. But today is going to, if people have a desire for the status quo, welcome in my good friend Ethereal Solstice Diva. Thank you for being here. Nunu with the Nunu. Come on. Welcome in, guys. I really do appreciate you. Even those of you whose name I don't necessarily get to call out because I don't see everybody come in. Mama and 3 boys. You love your kids, huh? Ma'am Deezy, welcome in. But today brings about either indications that it's time to grow. It could in some way put you outside of your comfort zone. But I feel like for those of you who have been challenging yourself in such a way, today brings about a next step that you're actually ready to take. Because some of you, there are circumstances in life where you've been wanting or needing to see growth. Yes, happy Jupiter Day. And I feel today perhaps brings about the opportunity for you to now be able to demonstrate that after what could, like I said, be a period of waiting, stagnation, holding back, having to perhaps even prepare some other things, needing to gain what could be like more information, things of that nature. Y'all know I'm a big water drinker. All day, every day. Cause I'm a thug. But that's really it. I don't feel a bad energy at all unless there's resistance to growth. In which case I feel the energy of some things kind of like coming up or coming out that demonstrate to a person that you've been in your feelings about this. And now you not only have your feelings to deal with, but this is materializing as well. Okay. And I feel like this, I don't know why it gives like this is going to be known. You know how I'm getting the energy and kind of seeing in my mind's eye, you know how someone is like waiting for something to happen, right? And so they're just like watching, like waiting for what could be like, I'm just keep waiting to see when it happens. They know, I don't know what, okay, so sorry y'all, like kind of getting 3 things at once, but they're going to answer each other. Hi Tori, good to see you today. But in my meditation, thank you, love. In my meditation, I was seeing the Titanic, right? The boat, the ship, okay? Yeah, I don't know what kind of boat it was, but I saw the Titanic, and I want to say the song that they were playing when the ship was sinking is called Auld Lang Syne. And that was playing, right? If you remember, they were on the violins and they kept just running and setting up in different places, trying to make people more comfortable. But the reality was that the ship was sinking and there was nothing they could do about it. Now, if you recall, Titanic was one of the biggest, of its time, I'll just say, and perhaps in size, but more so when it came to the elite, the wealthy, right? So you have people who have status that are on this boat that is so grand that they don't believe that it will ever sink. So look at the symbolism there. And sometimes, oh my gosh, keep your life engaging. Evidently, that cloaking is working way too well, okay? I don't know why. I'm like, if I get on here and I do a little dance, shake a little, if I start going, if I start whopping on this thing, then they'll be flagging me for being lewd. Lord. Anyway, hopefully we're not going to start this BS again today. But nonetheless, if you recall, these people they were wealthy. They had means. They had status. They had they felt invincible. And this boat was a symbol of their wealth. So when it began to sink, it was much deeper. Aw, that's so cute. Thank you. That was so sweet. Thank you so much. But if you think about that, how many people in your life, or just situations that you deal with, perhaps, and I just say this, it's almost like somebody who overlooks you or like thinks you're insignificant or you don't matter or whatever, right? I get the energy of like being shooed away. So rude, right? Like, whatever, get out of, blows you off, right? Your concerns, your needs, things like that. Perhaps some aspect of that is they feel the boat that they're on is invincible, that they can't be in your shoes or in your position, right? This could be like going to the welfare office, right? Maybe somebody feels like because you're there, you need me. When it's like, honey, you work there, and if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have no job type energy, right? So when you look at it like that and they see you as insignificant, a lot of times, what's more deeply known is your significance, okay? Why? Because we don't have to build up these grand things external to us in order to prove or validate or be a demonstration or a physical representation of our worth and value, right? I have to say in business, this kind of gives like a lot of people want their business to have all of this. I just heard paraphernalia, but you think about it like the cost or the expense associated with putting your face or name on a billboard, creating flyers, running ads. It could even be like having a website or a portal, but I'm kind of getting deeper than that, where somebody wants this big fancy office or building, but when it comes to what's going on behind the scenes, I just heard that ain't so big. It's an image or a representation of bigness, and behind that is much like, if you guys recall, The Wizard of Oz, a man sitting behind a curtain with a microphone, right? Oh, great and powerful Oz, and here you are, right? And you need this stool to sit you up higher, and this microphone to amplify your voice, because without it, the real you perceives itself to be insignificant, because what, you haven't done the work to grow. So there's a desire to portray or paint the image of growth externally to prevent having to grow inside. Okay. So I feel this energy because the reality is that people who are in that position, they are able to identify or recognize when they're dealing with someone who is maybe even getting close to realizing you're just sitting behind the curtain with a microphone, right? Pretending to be the great and powerful Oz, okay? In that person, right, the wizard, he actually is watching and waiting to see if you're going to catch on to who he actually is in comparison to whom he's portraying himself to be. Okay. And so it's almost like knowing that you will eventually find out. I have to say, I get a heavy focus around monitoring spirits today. Okay. So some of you, that may be something that you are led to pray against. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Princess. That may be something that you're led to to do whatever it is that you do for protective practice against monitoring spirits, because monitoring spirits will watch you. They will have their eyes on you. They will be looking at you or looking into you instead of, I just heard, sweeping around their own front porch. And so and that's not to say that obviously you don't want to take your focus from the things that you're doing in order to give attention to monitoring spirits, which could be people who are watching you because they know what they've done or what they haven't done but need to do. And they recognize that you're onto their scent, that you're figuring them out, that you are getting to the point of realization. Also, make sure that you're not operating in that capacity and being used in such a way where you are being a monitoring spirit, where you're watching people or watching someone. And why are you watching them? To go run, tell that, to go back and say something? What is your purpose? Is what that leads to. And it really says, why are you, wherein is your focus? Is it self-centric? Are you watching them to see what they're doing to grow so that you can perhaps mimic and you can see growth as well? Or are you just watching to have something to talk about? Because if so, then you can just go on. That's a waste of your time, and it's use of your energy that you're not going to be able to get back. Don't waste your power. Okay, so it's almost like decide what you want. And when you're focusing on something or something, this is no different than in relationship, right? Have you ever dated someone that just wanted to waste your time? They didn't want shit from you. Why are you talking to me? Why even call me? Why you text me? That type of energy, right? Don't have me take you out on no date and you don't have any intentions. A warm cup of peppermint tea. Thank you, Kay. I appreciate that. Honestly, that's my intent. I want to be a bearer of peace. When people connect with my energy, I want them to feel at peace, right? Not like, who's this angry bird, right? Although you might catch me yelling sometimes. Or they want to steal from you. Absolutely, right? There are different reasons, right? People who are watching you because you have something that they want. Sometimes what they want to steal is not even, it could be a tangible thing, but sometimes they just want to take your pride, right? I saw a guy on another video, and he said he was talking to ladies, but it's not just ladies, men. Some of you end up in this position as well. But men who have a desire to humiliate a woman, they're jealous of you. And that's what that is. That's a man who feels humiliated or intimidated by you, by your power, by the things it is that you do. And the only reason that they would give that much attention or focus, because it's not in the nature of a man to tear down a woman. That's why men who abuse women, maybe we're talking about this for a reason. Men who abuse women are in fact themselves feeling that insignificant energy. They are intimidated by that woman. They've hit her because their physical strength is the only thing that they believe they have to be able to win out over her. And it's no different than a man. So some of you just look at your situation. Somebody hitting on you, they putting their hands on you. That person is intimidated by you. And they feel like the use of their physical strength is the only way that they can win as it pertains to you. But you don't need to be in partnership or relationship with people who are actually competing with you. Because a true partner doesn't compete. They're not making comparisons to you, who you are, what you do, what you have. They're looking at how they can do what? Couple with you, partner with you. How can I support you? How can I encourage you? How can I run alongside you? How can I increase your pace? Or how can I slow you down, right? So be mindful of that. God is your king. And sometimes that's why a lot of times for many people, Lily, in the lonely walk is so much easier. It's easier to be alone than to have to sort through the process of dating, collecting data. I got too much on my mind. I don't have time for all of that, to gather all that information that's necessary too. And that's okay. To everything there is a season. Anyway, shall we jump into some cards? I just felt led in that direction. I don't know why. I just feel like make sure you're not being a monitoring spirit where you're just watching something or someone making comparisons to console your own grief, looking at them and picking apart the things it is that they are doing or not doing in order to feel at ease or to feel consoled about the things it is that you have going on in your life. Okay? Always seek to look at how you can grow from your interactions. So if you're watching something or someone, make sure that you're observing with a purpose. Make sure that your attention is on the right thing. If what you're watching or who you're looking at, you don't have anything good to say and all you do is pick them apart, well, then it's probably time for you to turn the channel. And when I say that, I really mean internally. It's time for you to turn the internal channel and start to focus where I need to stop looking at them, because my judgments of another person are usually ones that I have about myself. And that's the only reason why I use that same lens to judge them, so I don't feel so bad when I have to examine me. Okay? Now, perhaps, but if you think about it, these are conversations and what? Growth, right? They require growth, even to be able to address something in that way, right? Look what we have, right? Young uni, right? Oh no, is it your brow? Somebody got a unibrow. I don't know why that's what it's giving. Maybe something significant about that. Unicorn, right? Unique. We all have our unique differences. Some people can get away with things that other people can't, right? Some people can do things that others can't, right? Sometimes you're the odd bird and you're like, everybody else can do this, but I'm the one that, I can't do that, right? We don't worry about what other people can or cannot do. We look at the things and the skills that God has given us. Just because you can't do it doesn't mean that God has not gifted them to be able to do it. Yeah, I just heard know your role and shut your mouth. Go get back in that kitchen and cook. I ain't gonna lie. For somebody that's the case, you offer for all it is. I just heard that you got in there on that stove. You sure is all up in somebody else's kitchen. I think mind yours. Well, here we go. Let's look at this. I don't know why I just heard clamshell. Obviously, this is an oyster. Something makes me feel like there's having to do with, like, again, like I said, running mouth is kind of the motion that is giving. I don't know why it's giving like Mrs. Pac-Man, eat it up, okay? Ate the girls up. Some of you might be doing that in some way or another today, okay? You might be eating the girls up. Eating the girls up, right? Girls, boys, whoever. Something makes me, I get this energy of like, it feels like burn book plastics energy. That is like Mean Girls. Okay, so Mean Girls mean it's men too out here being mean. Like why? Like y'all don't have nothing better to do. Go make some money. I don't know why I feel like mean men are broke men. They are. Mean girls are unhappy with themselves. They have low self-esteem, low self-image. But we love ourselves here. We love our bread, we love our butter, but most of all, we love each other. Earth, fire, fire burning, right? So fire midday and end of the day. Let's see what this translates into. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Do we have a new chapter dawning today, right? A new chapter coming in today. I like it. Oh, transformation. Is that what's a part of this new chapter? Okay. This could be like, I don't know why it kind of gives like there could be something significant around, hey girl, I'm gonna walk my shoes. It could be a deadline, a portal of alignment that's closing. It could also be this could indicate something that you were aligned with that is changing, right? So it could be something that you didn't want, you're no longer aligned with. It could also be aligning with something that you do want. It could also be the opposite, but something makes me feel like that could very well be contingent upon, based on perhaps whatever circumstances are at play in your situation, right? I say that because when I talk about like monitoring spirits, if it feels like where there's a refusal to grow, that's where you're going to see this energy is the portal of alignment to grow up closes, and someone has to go through a period that feels much like you still in high school. So you still dealing with them like high school personalities, right? You're still dealing with the middle school personalities. You're still dealing with the juvenile ways or petty behaviors. It also feels like a willingness to grow will actually get someone out of that chapter. It will, yeah, thank you, Holy Spirit. I heard a door closing. Okay. So it feels like it will close the door. And again, there's also some significance that came up in meditation about someone slamming a door. So I don't know if this is significant today. So for some of you, just be mindful if you hear a door slam, you see a door slam, or be mindful of the energy of that time, because there's something that I feel is taking place in a deeper spiritual manner that has to do with a literal portal that's beginning a new chapter. Okay, so let's dive more deeply into this. I'm also going to pull Cartomancy card. Just going to shuffle as I speak on the energies that are already here. So the top of the day, it looks like we're picking up on some things. Some of you could be cleaning, right? So some of you could certainly be like, let me clean this up or clear this up. This could be in business or otherwise, okay? So it could also be kind of like putting together some things, putting together some pieces. Something about it gives assembly, which could be an assembly line, like I said, to whoever's in the kitchen monitoring. Why don't you go monitor that? This could be you putting together your meal. Go finish meal prepping, meal planning, and get out my motherfucking business, okay? I don't know why that's going. I ain't gonna lie, somebody. This is your opportunity to grow, and if you're gonna be here, you're gonna grow. If you're not gonna decide to grow, then you can go work on something else and make yourself productive and get out of my damn business, okay? And I ain't talking about, obviously that could be the case for this channel, but something makes me feel like you could certainly be kind of like giving that sort of persona or taking that type of stance when you're putting together like, hold on, why are you all in my business? Which could be like all in my pockets. Why are you all in, why are you meddling through what I got going on? And oh, I noticed this. It kind of gives an energy that's like somebody, oh, I noticed this, or somebody who may be complaining about something, and you can sense what could be a deeper resonance. It's like, oh, okay, this could be like, that's what you're mad about. That's what you're doing. It feels like things like that, like putting two and two together. And it's almost like, it could be almost like the building a case, could be what that feels like. It could also be where this is constructive, because remember, many of you are closing the door on some of those childish or more petty behaviors. And in that case, this could certainly be where I just heard a great benefit, and you guys are realizing the benefits of no longer kind of what feels like, there could be some significance around rummaging. Maybe somebody's doing a rummage sale, but it feels like no longer kind of like, I don't know why I'm getting like somebody could do like salvage work. It gives the energy of like digging through garbage. It gives like scrap, stuff like that. So this could be like you're not, and this could be like in an energetic sense where you're no longer trying to, like this could be like scrapping for things, fighting over things, bickering over things, complaining about things, trying to fight for like bits and pieces is what it gives, quibbling over little things, but having a peace that things are starting to come together because you're building. And it's kind of like the difference between digging for ground zero, trying to get through the rubble, all this mess, all this clutter, right? Trying to work through all the issues, and then being at a point where you're on level ground, so you can actually just focus on building now. So something makes me feel like that is where, again, things are coming together. And let me just say, just to be clear, in circumstances where this energy is at play today, you're going to, it's not going to be something that shows on the surface. So on the surface, there may be what feels like a face, right? I don't know why I'm flipping off, right? It could be like a poker face. It could also be like, they make it look good or they make it look easy, but the peace will be the resonance that's found deeply within. And so that's what's going to be significant. That's what's going to be important, is if you don't, and when I say this means like, I don't know, maybe this is significant. I'm not judging anybody who does this. Maybe I'm going to put on a whole face of makeup, right? But the reason that I'm putting on this whole face of makeup is I'm going to meet someone today, and I need to hide the real me because I'm not secure that they will like my face as it is, okay? and deep down, I don't have peace. So I'm going to put this lipstick, put this foundation, put this powder, this liner, or whatever, concealer, heavy on concealer. I don't know, maybe somebody wears heavy concealer to cover it all up so that they won't recognize that I'm insecure. Because what it does is it shields the insecurity, and I don't want people to see that. As opposed to what could be like if I have a skin issue, actually working on what could be like nutrition, treating the skin condition, treating what could be like the underlying causes, instead of presenting the face alone without ever growing to a point of addressing what's causing the insecurity underneath. Maybe it is, fine lines, wrinkles, bags, things of that nature. Well, if we are just going to dress it up, then we will think that those things bring us peace. But what happens when we're meeting them and then maybe one day they see us in public and we don't have that face on, right? What if they see a picture or they find out or something circulates and the real us comes out? Then will we have that same depth of peace? No. Why? Because we haven't been doing the work to actually address the root of the issue, right? It's almost like maybe I get cosmetic surgery, I'm going to fix my beak, right? But what happens if it's deeper than that? Then I do that, and what happens as soon as I fix it, I recognize it's still crooked right here, so I have to go back and get another one, right? I notice, oh, looks flabby right here. So then I go and I get into, so it goes from one thing to another because I didn't address the root of the issue. So the top of the day, again, it's like cleaning, right? I clean that up, right? I'm sorry, it's leaking again. So it says I can keep cleaning up the water or I can address what is at the root of the leak, okay? And obviously, this can be energetically. This can be someone's getting information. Where did you hear that from? I know I only told blah, blah, blah. So it can be not being mad, like trying to clear it up. Well, let me try to save face with them, right? But let me go back to where this originated. Let me go to the person or the situation where I know this started. Let me go ahead and address the faucet. Let me go ahead and address the piping, whatever it is that's causing the actual problem. And that's where I feel that's wherein you're going to find peace because you've gotten to the root. So I do feel like the top of the day has something to do with that. And again, pulling all the pieces together and making some realization, I have peace, or I know this is going to take care of the problem. Or what could be like deep down, I don't have peace. So I'll just find a way, what could be like, to complain about this, to complain about that. Okay. What feels like a nitpicky energy. So where some of you realize that, then just be mindful of that. It's also perhaps you are nitpicking, right? But maybe there's someone that's not putting together the pieces. Some of you may need to be in a position where you have peace with being able to explain that. Let me make this plain for you, right? Let me put this together for you. Let me help you understand this, right? So that there's no argument, so that so that we're not, bickering about this, so that you don't have any complaint or any issue. So you may be pulling some things together, or pulling yourself together in a sense to connect and provide information that provides someone else with peace or solace, okay? So the energy then leads to midday fire, right? Which is feeling very secure, okay? And this usually indicates some sort of action that you may be taking. For some of you, there could be a relationship that's becoming exclusive. It could also be like taking some sort of private action or step, right? Some sort of measure that I do feel like you're doing something that maybe you don't let everyone in on, okay? So I'm going to keep this to myself or keep it between us. And again, because of that deep peace at the top of the day, midday is you, what feels like being very grounded, and perhaps even from a practical standpoint, seeing it as reasonable to do something, what feels almost this energy of like behind closed doors. So there could be some significance around the closed doors midday, because if something is taking place behind closed doors, then it would make sense that the door at some point between the morning and midday has to be closed. Whether that's closing the door on the past, closing the door on an opportunity. Again, it could be closing the door where, because of the fact that there are some things putting two and two together, you may be in a position where you're shutting some things out. You may be shutting some people out. It feels like for some of you, you could be blocking. This could be a form of like resistance or prevention. Okay. But it feels like privately, what could be like preventing something. Discussing this from a perspective of an unwillingness to grow. This would be someone who feels very secure. This could be like, maybe it is blocking you, shutting you out, right? Thinking that they can thwart or prevent you from, maybe it is kind of like preventing something from being effective. Okay. That's what it feels like. Someone perhaps perceives that they can do something, and I don't know why it gives like, you know how when you omit someone, you leave them out because their voice or the information that they would contribute would, again, I know how they are, so someone would be on to me if I leave them out of the conversation. Something makes me feel, I don't get this energy of everybody being included, but something makes me feel like if there is some sort of conflict, then some of you are in a position where you need to include the parties involved. And I don't see cards for this, but something makes me feel like somebody's lying. And the only way to identify the lie is to figure out who behind closed doors feels secure. I just heard, but when the doors open, I just heard that's when their insecurities arise. Okay. And I'm not getting like a rise in terms of like, how do I say this, Holy Spirit? This is the difference, right? We all have insecurities, but when they arise or they come up, right? When say you, and I've talked to you guys about a lot of mine, right? Obviously, my intent is to step into some other platforms or arenas, but for me, in my past, I've had some self issues, right? Different things, right, arising from a lot of different areas of my life that I have had to work through in order for me to get to a point where I'm comfortable presenting on camera, period, right? Having a voice. Once upon a time, I was very shy. I was withdrawn with my words. I was hesitant to express. And now I'm not. That's something that I have had to, that's a door that I've closed, if you will. But this is the difference. When insecurities arise, you are able to see that person's growth in those insecurities that arise. And that is the difference between someone who, and something makes me feel like, there's a desire to what could be like keep things private. Everybody would like to grow in private. But what about when you outgrow the circumstance, the situation, the relationship, when you outgrow the role or the position, when you outgrow the job? Think about when you outgrow your clothes, right? It will at some point begin to show if you keep wearing it. It reveals that you've outgrown it, right? And what happens? We either get embarrassed, oh, I've outgrown this, right? Or we evolve and we grow and we realize I have to go get something new, right? And so we see that process of growth taking place versus someone who doesn't have a desire to grow. There will almost like be this ignoring. I'm going to pretend as though I just don't want you to see this. I just don't want you to see this. I just don't want you to see this. I'm not taking the steps that are necessary in order to evolve. And so that will be the difference. And I feel like midday, this will be something that you'll be very secure in, because either as something takes place where someone's doing something, there will be a recognition of marked signs of growth. Okay. And this will be what feels like understood. Okay, it's a given, it's a known. Like, I can definitely see the growth, the transformation, right? It kind of gives, like, I used to be, hold on, who was that? Keisha Cole. I used to think that I wasn't fine enough, and I used to think that I wasn't wild enough. So this could be, if I don't think I'm fine enough, then I invest a whole lot in my looks, right? Trying to give the appearance of being fine, right? If I don't think I'm wild enough, then what am I? I'm wilding out, right? Girls gone wild, right? Whatever it is that you do, right? I'm trying to fit what I believe the mold is. I won't waste my time trying to figure out why you playing games. What's this all about? So there's growth, right? Even if you look at those words, like, wait a minute, it's a realization. That's a waste of time. If I'm trying to be fine, I think I'm not fine enough, right? If I'm trying to be wild because I think I'm not wild enough, I realize those things are not satisfying. Those things are not meeting the need. And so it challenges me to grow. And that's what I feel. Something is taking place midday where, I hear Lauryn Hill. Deep in my heart, the answer, it wasn't me. You're going to recognize, either in whatever takes place, that this is a demonstration that you are very secure, is understood to be someone who is demonstrating their desire to grow, or you're going to be very secure in a deep level of resonance, or comprehension is what it feels like, that they are resistant to growing. Okay. This then leads to, and I like that, but so that's where I feel the closed door is it's almost like, I don't know why, something makes me feel like the door to your heart is what is closing. And it could be, if you've been hard-hearted, then because of the fact that you are so secure, it softens you. So you close the door to what could be a hard-hearted nature. If you are, if you have been open-hearted, this gives you a deep level of security, and you close the door on being open-hearted and what feels like turn to what could be a cold-hearted nature. And that doesn't have to mean that you're being mean or anything like that. It simply means that you transition. It's almost like, if I was interested in, maybe it is pursuing a certain line of business. I don't know why it's giving like an insurance agent. Do I want to buy this agency? Do I want to buy this book of business? It can be looking it over and getting something out of it that's like, no, this isn't worth it. So closing the door, I'm no longer considering that, right? Moving forward. It's also like where, looking at it, deep down, I feel very confident about this book. And so I don't have any other apprehensions, which feels like that's why the end of the day leads us to this very graceful movement. And that's why I feel it's almost like, if you are in a position, this is freeing you, and it frees you from what feels like leaving doors open, so I can close the door to the past, or I can open myself up. I can be fully open-hearted as it pertains to the future now that I have what feels like a very keen sense of awareness. And I'm getting a focus. The end of the day is this very strong energy centering around gracefulness. And it's almost like, somebody is a runner, but it gives like, how you have, I don't know why it's giving like, if you ever ran like in, it's giving like clodhoppers, or I think like, what are those? Maybe they're called clogs, right? But you think about the shoes that are big and bulky, they do the river dances in them. It gives like someone trying to run in those, and it's, obviously bulky, but it's giving like a, uh, I don't, what do I want to call it? It's like someone is stomping like, it's very opposite of grace, which would almost, it's not clumsy, it's not really the word that I'm getting, but it's much the opposite of grace. This feels like something, and that's what I feel is going to be the indicator or the sign of growth, is where there's not growth, it's almost like this very clunky energy that comes in and you can't ignore it. This like, it's almost like, it's blaring to a degree, but it's almost like I don't know why it feels like I hear Erykah Badu, come back, baby. So it's almost like I want to go back through the other door. It feels like though where there's growth, um, there is just, I don't know why I'm getting something about smooth. Something is very smooth, moves very smoothly, it flows very smoothly. I also just heard it sings, so it feels like vibrationally it's poised or it's aligned. It fits right in what feels, I don't know why it's giving like the energy and music of harmonies. Um, and what feels like it fits right in to the harmonies of your life. It's almost like it finds its chord and it strikes it and it just makes your life feel more melodious. It causes things to move more fluid. For some of you, there could be some significance around a belt on a car. It's giving like timing belt. So there could be, again, something of that nature that's at play. Some of you may want to check your belts and hoses, timing belt, serpentine belt. There's something of that nature that it feels, or something about a belt. And for somebody, this could be like, in the US, it could be like the Bible belt, could be significant. But something makes me feel like a very smooth run, if you will. That could be, for some of you, this could indicate like polling is very easy. It's easy for you to what feels like gain ground in a certain area or direction it is that you are going. And I don't know why, something also makes me feel like attention coming to this, awareness coming to this, or realization. So for some of you, you're the person that's doing the run, but it's almost like people recognize or they notice the way you move and what feels like, oh, hey, goddess of war, what feels like um, it's almost this energy of like your steps, something about the steps that you take and the way you move. There is awareness of the grace that's in your steps. And it doesn't have to be like, how do I say this? Holy Spirit, help me to articulate this in a way that's effective, that's clear, and that's concise. Because it's almost like this is something that you don't see. It's a rare find, okay? Significance around that. This is a rare find, but it's very valuable. So people notice it because you don't see it everywhere, where someone is able to move what feels like so articulately. And again, it's almost like the difference between a glide and a step. A step you can literally count. A glide is you can't, it's more difficult to keep up with because there's no break in the movements. It literally just it's flow for sure, for sure. It's a glide. I don't know why it's giving like Missy. I can glide like Kelly, like I can fly like Kelly. I glide like skates. But if you think about a glide, and maybe skates are significant, but skates, when you're skating, it's way different than walking, right? The way that you just kind of like breeze through. So something makes me feel like you're going to be very grateful for something that you're doing by the end of the day. It's almost like gratitude. And because whether you realize it or not, something makes me feel like the gratitude is because you're going to realize what this is doing. I'm getting a heavy focus around the third eye chakra and the throat chakra. But some of you, what you're going to realize is something that I feel like Spirit has you doing. Which could be like, again, not including everyone, excluding someone. Spirit is going to bring to your attention the signal that you're emitting off, and that's what's going to give you gratitude. It's almost like if you're excluding or leaving people out that need to be there, God is going to bring that to your attention, because it's going to, what it's going to do is, I don't know why it feels like that's where the clunkiness comes in. Things, it lacks grace, it lacks what feels like the touch, it lacks what feels like the ease. It, again, it's karmic work, because it's harder to resist, or it's harder to what could be like to block them. It's harder to deny them, and letting them in makes everything smooths the crooked ways. It makes it straightens everything out. And it's almost like Spirit is showing you the way of a transgressor is hard. I don't want it to be difficult from you. I don't want it to be boxy. I want it to be smooth. I want it to be graceful. I want it to glide. And so you can go through these challenges if you want to, believing that that's what I want you to do, but that's your will, that's not mine. And I'm going to show you mine. And if you will yield to my will, I just heard him put the fire out. I don't know what the fire is, but put the fire out. Then I will give you the security that you need. And by the end of the day, you will be very grateful that you are aware of my voice. I just heard because my sheep know my voice. And the day you hear my voice, you should harden not your heart. So this feels as though, I don't know why I get a heavy energy of a warning, but it's almost like if it's heated, then by the end of the day, there's grateful that what could be like, I sent the signal to God that said, God, I need to know. God, I need you to show me. God, let, reveal your desire, reveal your spirit, right? Help me put together the pieces. If there's something missing, right? If there's something that's wrong, help me to pull myself together in whatever this is so that I have your peace and I'm secure, if you will, in taking again what could be the next steps. Demonstrate to me perhaps where I need to grow so that I can do so. And then on the other side of that, by having done so, I'm able to realize what feels like your faithfulness, your goodness, your protection, your power, your peace. Okay? So something at play like that comes at the end of the day that brings about gratitude. And it feels like thanks or gratefulness. Thank you, Lord. Hallelujah. Gratefulness that what feels like you sent the signal off, the things, the actions that I'm taking, and again, in my private life, behind closed doors, the steps that I'm taking, the actions that I'm taking, the things that I'm doing behind closed doors, perhaps even that no one knows about. Even the why, those things. Now that I realize or am aware, right, that what I do in private, I just heard, can become public. Then this feels like Spirit is leading you and you're sending a message. God, I'm not trying to hide. My only desire is to grow. My only desire is to be better. I don't want to argue. I don't want to fight. I'm not trying to complain. I don't need any discord in my life. I don't need any problems. I simply want peace. So show me what I need to do in order to arrive at a place of peace. And then give me a sign that makes me aware of the fact that peace is present, is ever with me. And something feels as though that's what's going to end up coming in. It feels like by the end of the day. And it's almost like if there's a move, you want to move because your awareness or realization that there's peace in doing so is what is realized. It's also like, and again, any action or step that you need to take, which could be physical in nature, it doesn't have to be though. This could be intentions. This says, this is my intention. Y'all hear? God's will is what I want for my life. God's will is what I want for my life. I'll do what you want me to do. I will say what you want me to say. I'll go where you want me to go. God's will is what I want for my life. So I feel because of the fact that you operate at a higher will. When I say God, I'm really speaking to the higher self. We all have that. And it's the aspect of the self that is, we'll just say representative of God, that connects us to God, that's always speaking to us, that's always with us. So if we are aware of our higher self and what I have my intentions, I have the things that I want, but I'm also aware that there's a greater will in which mine must coincide. And if it does not, then it will throw everything in terms of the alignment planetarily off. And God's not going to allow one person just because I want my way to set off the to offset the planetary alignment. Then I have to be mindful of, be aware of what the overarching will is. And if I operate within that, then there's this energy that demonstrates gratitude for divinity that is the overarching will. And operating within that says thank you, which puts you in a position for alignment to receive what it is that you desire and what feels like be secure in that. And I also get this energy of like, you shall not be denied, right? Nothing will be denied as long as it operates within the overarching will, which feels like operating in tandem, okay? So it's almost like working against, working in partnership with, okay? Oh, thank you. That's kind of you. Thank you for the follow. Those of you who are new here, if you haven't followed, please tap that plus sign and give the channel a follow. I appreciate that. I do believe that some of us are earth angels. I don't really do a whole lot of the titles, but you know, I believe spirit can speak to us at any given time. And I think we all always be mindful of the fact that the person that we're entertaining, whether it's me or anybody, the Bible literally says, and not that everyone believes the Bible, so that's why I don't quote it all the time, but you could be unknowingly entertaining an angel. And really, an angel is merely a messenger. So it could certainly be that God loves you enough to be able to send someone to send a message to you that lets you know of his love. Thank you. This came up in my meditation. This is significant because thank you. This came up in dreams. Okay, let's talk about dreams for a moment, and then we'll get off of here, and I'll come back into extended messages a bit later. And extended messages, for those of you who haven't joined Patreon, today they're likely going to be private. And so I'll do probably a live with friends today, and that replay will be posted on Patreon. So linked in the description box or in the bio, you'll find the Patreon for those of you who have interest, where I'll be doing a lot more content there. But let's talk about this, okay? It came up to me about a dog, right? Dogs symbolize loyalty, faithfulness, right? And so obviously you can have specificity based on the color, etc. But what came up was this concept of loyalty. So, and I believe that this could be at play today, right? A dog is going to be loyal to its master as long as its master feeds it, right? And if you think about the notion of feeding and spirituality, it has to do with nourishing someone and not necessarily in the ways that they want to be. If you think about it, right? Someone can feed you, right? I can buy you a whole bunch of, whatever it is that I'm filling you up with. Absolutely. Your dog's birthday was yesterday. He's 7 now. Oh, happy birthday, pup. Little pooch. What's up, Truthful Tea? Welcome in. Thank you for being here, King Justin. But if you think about the concept of loyalty, right? I can feed you, and this is not like knocking that, right? Because sometimes the food we buy is affordable, right? So you might feed somebody and it's like, here's a bag of chips, right? Because that's what's cheap, right? This was on sale. So, I can't, you can't always speak to like, oh, they fed me garbage, right? That might have just been what was in the budget, and my desire is to feed. So this is what I'm going to give you. But in a general sense, when someone feeds you, feeding something is because the intent is to bring about growth, right? You got to eat to live, so to speak. So I want you to live, right? Obviously, we can get down into the meat and potatoes of like what you feed a person. And again, depending on the intentions, does it matter? Does it not matter? Sometimes the end of the day is there's just a need for food. So let's just get you something to eat. We'll worry about what could be like nutrition later. Look at what's available, right? You think about the hour of the night. Everything is not always easily accessible. It could even be like access to what could be like healthier foods, right? If I'm only, maybe it is near a gas station, something of that nature, then my ability to be able to get something that's healthy, I might be less likely to do that, right? Still more obsessed with your You're just a facilitator. Dang, she used you. But with the concept of feeding, what was given to me in meditation was a dog turning vicious, almost like looking like it had rabies, which is another aspect. But that wasn't the message that I was getting. It wasn't about like the condition. It was about the dog literally turning on its master, because it stopped feeding it, and the dog was needing there to be a realization of its hunger, in order for it to almost like be be loyal, be faithful. And so there could be some significance around that. But it also refers to animalistic instincts, which could have to do if you're no longer taking care of me, right? Not necessarily actual food. If you're not going to take care of me, then what could be like, I'm going to turn on you, right? Is that right? Is it wrong? It depends on the circumstances, right? If maybe that is the relationship, right? In the situation where there's a dog, usually it's its owner, right? So if you own me, then it's your responsibility to feed me. Sometimes this is more on a spiritual level where, God will give you an assignment and say your responsibility is to take care of this person, to take care of this business, this situation. Well, you might be in a situation where you're like, I don't want to give anything else to this business. I don't want to do anything else for this person. Well, if that's who God has placed on your path or has been assigned to you, um, then those assignments are much deeper. And so it could be that, not doing that could be an indication that, if you want to continue to see God's faithfulness, then you need to continue feeding the things, that are reflections of His faithfulness to you. You need to keep giving, which again, accentuate the positive, could be what that is. But it's also deciding, if you think about it, right? If I'm feeding you, if I'm taking care of you, if I'm doing good, and this could be a person or anyone, I'm taking care of you, I'm nourishing you, I'm helping you, I'm supporting your growth, and you turn on me, right? And you bite me, or you become vicious, or you become nasty, or you become mean, then what happens? Yes, I'm going to cut you off. No, I'm no longer going to be faithful to you because I can't feed what could be like those behaviors. So some of you, there could even be significance like with your children when it comes to starving behaviors or feeding behaviors. I'm not going to feed, and let's get deeper with this, right? Because we talked about insecurities. So it could be recognizing insecurities in your partner. Maybe they're taking it out on you and you're saying, I'm not giving any energy to this. We're not going to argue. There's no argument here. We're not talking about this because it's very clear that you're insecure. And this is usually, again, you have a deep peace. This is not, oh, I know I'm cheating behind closed doors, or privately I know what I'm cheating behind closed doors, or privately I know what it is that I've done in order to create these circumstances. And they're putting it together. So I'm gaslighting them because they're finally becoming aware, waking up to the fact that I haven't been loyal, I haven't been faithful when they've been taking care of me and they've been doing the things that it is, that they're supposed to do. They've been responsible with me and I've been irresponsible with them. This is not that energy, okay? But that's the difference between growth and a lack thereof, okay? So I feel by the end of the day, today brings in this energy where, again, faithfulness. Either you're feeding the dog that you need to starve, and you become aware of that because things become clunky, they become difficult, they become boxy, or you started starving the dog, that you no longer need to feed, and perhaps feeding the one, that is deserving of food. And on the other side of you becoming aware of that or realizing that, you're very grateful because of grace with which things move or things flow. Things become a lot easier. And again, that's kind of like behind closed doors in your private time, to yourself. You realize that, and you have that security that comes with knowing that, you have protected or prevented what could even be like attack an animal, right? I staved off the monster. So I feel like that's at play. We're going to get a cartomancy card, and then I just heard we'll check out. I don't know, maybe somebody's buying something, maybe someone's checking something out, checking someone out. But we'll check out for now. I will go do the Spotify. We are on Spotify as well. So check out the Spotify. I do a brief, which is going to be about 5 to 7 minutes long. Um, For those of you who like it, I just heard quick and easy, right? Quick and easy. Something does feel like something about today. I don't feel like it has to be like drawn out. It feels like it doesn't have to be like painful. You think about it like putting the dog down. If you think about like dealing with a narcissist, Dr. Roman Zanoni teaches when it comes to dealing with narcissists, it's very quick and easy. The way that you starve them is you stop giving them attention, right? Go the opposite direction. Don't do it, right? What happens, it's gray rocking. It's like, I'm not doing that. The way that feed, perhaps it even starve an empath, right? When you're being what could be like overly sensitive, okay? There could be some significance with that, is not giving way to the emotions, being more practical or grounded, removing those cognitive distortions out of the way, and restoring to a place that is aware of those things that they have a need to be grateful for, in understanding of. And this is our card of the day, 8 of Diamonds. I like this. We've been in the diamond suit quite a bit so far in this 7 days. Yesterday we had the King of Diamonds. Today we have the 8 of Diamonds, and look who's at the bottom of the deck, the Queen of Diamonds. So I feel today has to do with relationship and understanding the nature of relationship. What could be like being aware of, what could be like, I don't know why it gives like private complaints, issues, who moved my cheese, the things that are problematic. Maybe it is like things that a person holds in their heart behind closed doors. This could even be insecurities, knowing or being aware of things that someone is insecure about behind the scenes, understanding what could be like the reasons why. And then again, if it needs to be protected, then protecting that. Us also don't touch my cheese, right? It's also like being aware being aware of those things that give a person the security that secure the relationship, that make it airtight. And practicing is what I'm kind of getting very strong. Practicing, applying that knowledge in a way that I feel by the end of the day proves itself to be effective, proves that you've gained a skill, proves that you have, again, you are responsible with the things that you've been entrusted with. You are responsible with what could even be the people. You understand the things that are valuable or important to them, and your awareness of those things, it feels like demonstrates that. And what feels, I like this because 8s are a number of reciprocity, whether you want it or not. Obviously, that's more the 6, but that 8 is the boomerang. It says that it will never cease to return to you. So today could be something that you're putting out is coming back in, something that you've learned or become aware of is in some way demonstrating its power as it pertains to you, and it's showing you that you're valued. It's showing you that you're appreciated. It's showing you that you've learned again how to treat people. I just heard how to act. It feels as though you've learned. I don't know why it's giving like responsible use. So for some of you, it could be things of that nature. But what feels like what to do behind closed doors in order to preserve or to protect yourself or others. Okay. I don't know why. And this could be like your relationships. So if you think about that, that could be the case, to protect your relationships, to protect your pride. It could be what that is. And again, I'm not talking about in a way that's arrogant and simply doesn't want to grow. This could be even ways to protect your business, right? But it feels like, again, to secure your relationships and being grateful that I don't know why it feels like you practice what you preach. And because of the fact that you're not only preaching something, you're actually practicing it, you're applying it. I feel this end of the day, like you are going to be, I don't know why I feel like, I just heard, I'm so glad Jesus lifted me. I'm so glad Jesus lifted me. I'm so glad Jesus lifted me. Glory, hallelujah. Jesus lifted me. So I feel like by the end of the day, you'll be grateful because your consciousness, your awareness will have elevated you out of a situation, a circumstance, or above a matter, which usually indicates this gives. I hear the verse, He will make your feet as hinds feet and set you upon high places. So something makes me feel like by the end of the day, some of you are going to be set upon a high place, which feels like out of harm's way. And that could be energetic harm, physical, mental, emotional, financial harm. Something makes me feel like you are being taught, you're learning what feels like the things it is that you have a responsibility to do that protect you or put you out of harm's way, and grateful to have been in a position where you were responsible enough to recognize your own obligation, if you will, to what could be teach yourself, to learn, which we know learning comes by virtue of application. And then the teaching is really the demonstration of the example. It worked, okay? Oh no, it works. Something works. That's what it feels like. Something worked. It worked or it is working. And you're going to be aware of that by the end of the day. That's what I have for you. I love you guys. Like, follow, subscribe, all of that good stuff. We'll be back, like I said, a little bit later. If you're not a friend, right, and you want that young follow back so that you can be in the friend circle, then join. If you're already a member of the Royal Court, I will go in and I will add you as a friend. If you're not a member of the Royal Court, then I encourage you to join the Royal Court. It is a group chat that's on my page. And that's where I will be. I will mutually friend you. I have some other friends that are not in there, but I will mutually friend you. So when I do the private live later, that has the extended messages, and it's not going to be terribly later. It'll just be later. Okay. Like I want to say maybe around, I don't know, I will say 11, 10 or 11 Central, 10, 11 Central, somewhere in there. Okay. That's my goal. And I'll let you guys know if that doesn't. And turn the notifications on within the group. Thank you. Thank you, Sosis Diva. Appreciate you. But I will notify you guys and we'll do a live and get extended messages and go from there. All right. Go have a great day. I love you and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.